So this series, Blue Period, I just actually recently covered on my weekly reads. So this is a series about a boy who's pretty good at everything. You know, he studies hard, he's pretty popular, he's somewhat of a delinquent, he likes sports, but he often feels like kind of empty and gets frustrated with a few things like that. But one day he is told to paint something that he really likes, so he ends up painting. I forget which city. I think it's like Shibuya in the morning, like right as the sun's rising. And he says it like just feels blue to him, so he paints blue, is at least how he describes it. And people say like, wow, they get it. It's a deep photo or deep picture, and so he ends up kind of following all this praise he gets because he feels like it's the first time he's really talked to somebody. He then goes into the art club and tries to get better at art. He eventually tries to apply to Tokyo University of the Arts. So he kind of completely derails his previous plans to like go into a good school to make good money. He thinks he can succeed as an artist and really just enjoy his work instead of working like the mundane 9 to 5 kind of drag. So it's a very interesting story. The way it's told is a lot more interesting than the way I tell it, and the art in it is just like amazing, obviously. So you probably could have figured that from the fact that it's about art. But yeah, definitely worth checking out if you haven't heard of it. So the way you pronounce this one is actually b.ichi. It means B1. This is by the same creator of Soul Eater. You can probably tell from the vibes, especially of the smiley face in the name. This is actually the first one that Atsushi Okobo actually had bound into volumes, and I think it's the first one that was ran officially in Gangan Comics by him. So this follows a plot of the setting where most normal humans use only 30% of their brains, but a group of people known as Dokeshi can use 50 to 60% of their brains and have special abilities because of that. These powers, however, come with a price. The Dokeshi must observe certain restrictions, and ignoring these rules can lead to the loss of something precious from within. In young Shotaro's case, the main character, he has to stick to doing one good deed every single day. In the central town of Kyo, he meets a girl named Mana, and together they go on a journey to find Shotaro's childhood friend, Ebony. Will Shotaro be able to do a good day daily or succumb to his laziness on his journey? So I read this 1 through 3. It was pretty good. I didn't realize there's only 4, but I can't find the 4th one anywhere now. If I was younger, I would have gotten the 4th one, knowing that was the end, but I thought it was going to keep going. I really only thought that this manga was okay, which is why I didn't continue to buy it, but knowing that I'm just one off is like really annoying. And now I can't find it really anywhere. But yeah, this is probably not worth your time to read or buy. But if you see the 4th one around, let me know and I'll pick it up for sure. So Bobobo-BoBo-Renkin is one of the best gag manga I've ever read. If you like Dragon Ball Z or Gintama, I would definitely recommend at least checking out this manga. At the very least, check out the anime. The dub is pretty funny just because of how cheesy it is sometimes too. But this is the weirdest release schedule or whatever you want to call this publication route that Viz could have ever taken. Okay, so this is what happened. They released this big omnibus here, right, that says Shonen Jump Advance. It's a 2-in-1, okay, but it's not really a 2-in-1, okay. It takes from from volume 9 in Japan goes 88 to 98. However, this omnibus takes 93 to 98, which is volume 9, and then it takes volume 10, 99 to 107, leaving out the remaining 108 and 109 chapters 108, 109 from volume 10, okay? So it gets like just about half of volume 9 and almost all of volume 10 except for 2 chapters. Then it waits 3 years and starts releasing these singles. But it doesn't start at volume 1. No. This continues where the omnibus left off. But it doesn't grab the last 2 chapters, 108 and 109 from volume 10. It then, in fact, starts at volume 11. Okay, and then from volume 11, they released all the way up until volume 15, but they call it, volume 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But they just have you jump on in the middle of the story and then wonder why the series didn't sell well. I mean, it's like, what in the heck were you guys thinking? Like, I get that Bobobo is supposed to be, like, totally spontaneous and just, like, random. But, man, I have never seen a release schedule so bizarre before. I mean, Volume 1's not even the first volume released in America. And it's not even the first volume released in Japan. It's like, what the heck? And it doesn't even continue where the first volume did leave off at. So talk about being confusing if you never have, gotten into Bobobo and you just saw the manga and thought it looked interesting. I mean, you start off in the middle of the story. But, like, there's tons of Yu-Gi-Oh! Jokes, Dragon Ball Z jokes. It's just, like, constantly great. There's Pokemon jokes. There's Fist of the North Star jokes. I mean, the whole thing is he's got Fist of the Nose Hair. So, this is, like, one of the top 10 gag manga, in my opinion. It's, like, a classic. It just is... I don't know. This is, like, one of the first gag manga I've ever even read, truly. Or, it's not really even a gag manga. It's a parody manga. And it used to air on the Toonami and Adult Swim, I'm pretty sure, actually. Let me tell you guys the plot. So this takes place in the year 300X. The entire world is under the tyrannical rule of the Maruhage Empire, also known as the Bald Empire. And the ruler is Surulina IV, or Chrome Dome Emperor and Baldy Bald IV in the English tub. His hair hunt troop captures innocent bystanders' hair, leaving the people victims of the hair hunters' troops by shaving the village and leaving them in ruins. Standing against this evil regime is a heroic but bizarre rebel, Bobobo-BoBo-Renkin, who fights the hair hunt troop with his powerful Hanage Shinken, or Fist of the Nose Hair. His team consists of the normal teen girl Beauty, the smelly teen warrior Hepoko Maru, also known as Gasser in the Dub, or English translation, Hajike, leader Don Patch, or Papa Rocks. Bobobo is on an exciting gag-filled quest in which he uses his hair as a weapon in many locales to fight the forces of the Maruhage Empire as he gains other allies along the way. This one I would recommend you guys just read the scans of. I mean, I would not try to jump into this ridiculous book at a halfway point like the ridiculous publication kind of did. This is definitely one you've got to read from volume 1, in my opinion, and just kind of get all the way through it. I don't know if this is available on the Viz app in the correct release order, but definitely recommend a read of this. No doubt in my mind. There are 2 sequels to this manga. One is called Shinetsu Bobobo-BoBo-Bobo. The other 2/1 is called Fuari Donpachi and Onori Donpachi, which are kind of the same series, but they're spin-offs of Bobo, and they feature Don Patch, who's the orange guy with the spiky hair, as the main character, which would have to be hilarious in my opinion. Bobobo-Renkin is a story by the same author as Rurouni Kenshin, Nobuhiro Watsuki. He also helped train Ichiro Oda, as well as the creator of Fairy Tail. I can't remember his first name part. Sorry, Jesus. Hiro. So he is a pretty big influence in the manga community. He also was influenced by a bunch of other famous authors like Hiro Toriyama and the same guy who made Hunter x Hunter and Yu Yu Hakusho, Togashi. So that's interesting. However, he also had charges on him for child pornography, and he did serve justice system through Japan, just so everybody's aware of that. This caused his series Rurouni Kenshin, the Hokkaido arc, to be rescinded from the English Viz Media licensure, so they got rid of it. And because Viz didn't want anything to do with that controversial kind of thing. So keep in mind that if you are interested in a series, they're probably going to be harder to find than most other series. But maybe they won't because there's less demand. for them after his charges. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that before we start talking about a series. I'll bring this up again when I get to Rurouni Kenshin. In any case, Bobobo-Renkin follows Kazuki Muto, who saves Tokiko Sumura and is killed by an alchemical monster known as a homunculus. Tokiko, an alchemist warrior, feels responsible and revives him by replacing his destroyed heart with a kakugane. The kakugane is an alchemical device which, when activated, takes weapon form based on the user's personality, forming something called a Bobobo-Renkin, the only thing that can destroy a homunculus. Kazuki creates his own Bobobo-Renkin and joins Tokiko in a fight against Homunculi and their master Koshuku Churono. So I really actually found this series very enjoyable, especially since it came out around the same time as Fullmetal Alchemist was coming out. So alchemy themed things were really they're hot. The very interesting thing about this is kind of how those weird little things, the kakugane, they looked like the talisman from Jackie Chan, which I thought was really funny. The Jackie Chan adventure talismans. But this guy, the main character, Kazuki, he has his kind of in his heart, but most other people just have it on hand. So he's unique in that way. However, this series is really kind of cool. It's like a battle manga, but the concept behind the weapon system and power system is really neat. It was criticized for having kind of a subpar story, but really cool action scenes. And that's probably right. I haven't read this series in a long time, but if I had to guess, I'd say my younger self really just liked the punching and the fighting and the spear thrusts. And I remember them being epic AF. He also stars in Jump Ultimate Stars, which is kind of rare since the manga wasn't that well known. So it was interesting that he got his own character. I remember being super hyped when it came out, and not a lot of people know who he was. So I was like stoked to see he got his own character. But yeah, I definitely would recommend checking out this series. If that whole thing bothers you, I would just recommend reading the scans and not supporting the author. I really wouldn't let you get in the way of reading a good series. It's not just one author who makes these works. It's a whole group of people, despite the name being on the cover. And if you don't want to support him, then there are other ways around still reading a good story without supporting the author. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And that's the complete set for that series. The next one, this is like notorious. Case Closed or Detective Conan has 99 volumes currently. I think it's tied with One Piece right now. And it is about a young boy who is a detective named Jimmy Kudo in high school, who during an investigation gets attacked by members of the crime syndicate known as the Black Organization and force him to drink an experimental poison. Instead of killing him, this poison transforms him into a child. He then becomes Conan Itogawa, and keeping his true identity a secret, he and his childhood friend Rachel Moore and her father Richard, who is a private detective, go throughout the series and solve mysteries. Also, he can get to the end of this and figure out who the heck and what's going on with the Black Organization so he can become back to normal. I mean, this series is notorious. I was really interested in it as a kid. The fact that it's kept going on keeps me uninterested in it as an adult. I don't know if there's any good plot developments, but from the way I understood it, it always seemed more like a episode of the week or mystery of the week kind of a vibe. And that's cool for maybe 20 volumes or 10 volumes. We're at 99. So I don't know. If I was to get into this, I'd probably wait for box sets, but Shonen Sunday is not really known to do box sets, but I feel like they've got to do something with this manga series. I mean, 99 volumes and you expect people to get in? Even One Piece has some dope box sets, but there's nothing for Case Closed / Detective Conan. It's by the same publisher, Viz Media, so why not? I probably wouldn't buy this unless you can get it for a good deal. I mean, to buy 99 volumes at a price of $10 a volume, I mean, you're going to be out at $1,000. So, I don't know. you might want to just stick to the anime for this as well. It does have a really cool Lupin the Third crossover, and so I would definitely recommend that as well. And I guess it has a sequel, which I didn't know about. So there's Case Closed, Lupin the Third versus Detective Conan the movie. And there's also Lupin the Third, the crossover special versus Conan. So I didn't realize that there was two. So I'll probably have to actually get into that. I love Lupin the Third. Speaking of, if you're trying to get Lupin the Third manga, very expensive, I would recommend just watching the anime. But yeah, this is an interesting series. I really don't care to go too deep into it. If you guys have stronger feelings about Case Closed or Detective Conan, definitely let me know in the comments below. It might get my fire kind of relit into it. But as things stand now, I'll probably just let like Sleeping Dogs lie, unless until we get some box sets coming out, because otherwise I can't imagine buying that many manga for something like that. That is only okay, in my opinion. Claymore is a series that's always compared to Berserk. In my opinion, the two aren't very similar. This is more about people who are made from science. This is like a science gone too far kind of a manga. So they take these women and start kind of merging their bodies with monster called yokai. When they do this, the women gain power and are able to defeat stronger yokai. I've been calling them yokai. The Yoma. Anyways, this gives them silver hair, and people call them claymores. Why? Because they all carry these claymore swords. And they also call them silver-eyed witches because they lose all emotions when they typically do this. Once they also go through this, they have the potential to turn into a Yoma as well. They tried this before on men, but men just turn straight into Yoma and are unable to handle this kind of a merging. So, this is a very interesting series. People, like I said, have said this is very similar to Berserk. I really disagree. It is definitely a lone swordsman, or swordswoman in this case, fighting against demons, and she meets a few people on the way who help kind of melt her icy heart. I can see the comparison to Guts. However, this show or manga is not nearly as like effed up as Berserk is. This is like, if you wanted a very by the book kind of a dark fantasy, like, I don't think you'll be disappointed in this. I think you'll have some surprises, some twists and turns. This is not a bad manga. This is not an amazing manga either. It's somewhere in the middle. I do recommend reading it, and they have a whole box set out. I would recommend buying the box set for sure. I got them all before the box set, so no box set for me. And I thought that the ending was awesome. I really like the twists and turns in it as you find more and more about this organization that started to do these like horrific science experiments to people to help, further humanity, at least so they say. I do, though, think that this manga ends kind of, in my opinion anyways, like unsatisfactorily. I really wish that they had done more with the ending, or at least more with kind of solving this mystery. But I do recommend reading this. The Claymores are ranked 1 through 47, with rank 1 being the strongest and 47 being the weakest, each divided into 47 districts, so they each have their own little spot to watch for the Yoma. It's got a lot of good action, a lot of cool special moves, a lot of dismemberment and blood, and that's probably why I got the Shonen Jump Advanced kind of tagline. So I do recommend, reading this. The author also has released another one through Shonen Sunday called Ariandine in the Blue Sky. I don't know how to really say that. It has not had an English release yet. I don't really know why. It's got 12 volumes out in Japan, and there's around 30 chapters that have not been published into, the volume format or tankobon format. Why? I don't know. That's really odd. Usually they, release them around every 12 or 14 chapters. They release a tankobon. So that's odd that they have 12 and then they just haven't released the other 3. But whatever. I honestly think Ariadne in the Blue Sky looks more interesting than Claymore was, but I guess that's good because that means the author's kind of evolving, or the mangaka. So that seems great. I definitely recommend reading this. If you if you do read it after watching this, definitely leave a comment below and let me know what you think. This next manga is called Kawa. It follows the story of child monsters Paifu, Jose, and Arpon, as well as the human Maruyama, as they travel to get medicine to save their town from a deadly flu. This was one of Toriyama's first works after the conclusion of Dragon Ball, so it was like super hyped up when it was first coming out. It actually was pretty good. It's like a nice Halloween monster story. Essentially, Paifu and Jose decide to go. Jose's like a little ghost. His name's Jose Rodriguez. I think it's so funny. They decide to go to the house of a human who is rumored to be a murderer. Paifu notices that what appears to be an orange spirit out in the sea and mistakes it for their friend. So they arrive at the light source only to find out it's a torch on a raft belonging to the world-renowned sumo wrestler Maruyama, whom they fear. In spite of becoming acquainted with Maruyama, Maruyama teases Paifu and picks up 2 sticks, producing a cross gesture to scare him off, believing he, like some vampires in stories, fear a cross. On the contrary, this action forces Paifu to transform into a raging were-koala. And Paifu is the main character, the guy in the cover with the pointy head. He's a were-koala. So he looks like a vampire, but he's a were-koala. I think that's great. His rage is halted by Jose, who shapeshifts into a round object, which reverts him back to normal. Jose tells Maruyama that Paifu cannot look at a cross figure for more than 3 seconds before he transforms. When asked by Maruyama about Paifu's father, Paifu replies that he was shot to death in a human city when he shapeshifted into a were-koala, and after getting to know a little bit Maruyama's past, it turns out that he's not as frightening as they rumored to be. So this kind of helps them build up the relationship, and eventually they go into town to find this cure for their flu. This is, like, in my opinion, a really great Halloween story. It's very kid-friendly. It's pretty funny. It reminds me of the Neko Majin series, which never came to America, but if you guys have read that online, it's pretty similar to that. I think actually Neko Majin came digitally, but I really wish it came physically. It got a nice physical release. I love Neko Majin and Neko Majin Z. But yeah, this is definitely worth a read if you guys have never read it. Strongly recommend it. This next one is Cowboy Bebop. It's pretty mediocre, to be completely honest with you. You know, it's not really like the main series. There's not like a lot of character development or plot. It's just kind of like a manga spin-off like you'd expect. You know, it's kind of disappointing because this is by the creator of the guy who makes a lot of Gundam, Hajime Yatate. I think that's how you say his name. Anyways, he made Gundam The Origin, Gundam Wing, Gundam Zingan Zero. You know, just about every Gundam series you ever made, this guy had a hand in. Like, at least manga-wise, and I think also even anime-wise. So it's, like, really disappointing to see that, you know, he came up with this. It also was written by, so it wasn't just written by one guy, it was also written by the person who makes Carol and Tuesday, Space Dandy, Samurai Champloo, you know, like, he didn't write Cowboy Bebop, I don't see it in his repertoire. Oh, yes, I do. Yeah, he was the director. So it's like, man, how in the world do you have Shinichiro Watanabe and Hajime Yatate make a kind of mediocre manga? Is mind-blowing, but that's what it is. So it's, you know, it's very okay. It's very, you know, not harmful to anything. It just exists. You read it once, and you say, that's enough. I have the 3rd volume. I actually haven't read it yet, but I just bought it from Right Stuff a few weeks to a month ago. So I plan on rereading the series again just to refresh my memory on it, but the perception on it online is exactly what my perception on it was from my memory, so I feel like that was pretty accurate. But I'll give it another go just to see how it is. The summary to it is super vague. Spike, Jet, Faye, and Ed, cowboys on the new frontier. Together, this band of interplanetary bounty hunters takes on the jobs that anyone in their right mind would turn down. That's it. This is pretty readily available on Right Stuff, so if you are interested in this series, you can definitely get it on there, at least last time I checked. So, if you feel like there's a Tokyo Pop sale and you need to get up to the $75 to get the free shipping, it's probably, worth checking out for a little bit of a filler, but I probably wouldn't go out of my way to get this series alone. That's going to wrap up the B's through the C's today. Next time we're going to start actually with the D's, try to finish it up. There's a lot of the D's though, man. A lot of D's. So, if you like this video, want to see more of this kind of video, definitely subscribe, and I'll have more out next week. I'll try to get this out every Thursday. Might be on Friday sometimes, just if I'm a little bit behind. But yeah, look forward to more of these. I'll probably also do a more traditional collection video at the end, because it seems like that's what people kind of want as well. So, have a good day, everyone. Bye. Thanks for watching.